Well, I pal.
Yes.
Well, I pal. See, this is what happens when you get the mouthpiece and Dow Jones in the same room when people don't know what's going on. See, we spring surprises. We know things you don't know, and that's what I love about it. Is nobody saw this coming. Just like the future of UKPW, no one will see coming.
Not even the people in control.
Yeah, I mean, as a lot of people may have remembered, towards the tail end of 2020, you and I sat down, you as yourself, Alex, Gilbert, myself, we kind of did a very long part one of an episode of Insider. We never have, because of obviously everything going on with the Big Fat Wrestling Quiz, obviously you being busy behind the scenes trying to get everything organised for our return, when it's going to happen. We still don't know yet, but positive steps at the moment. Things are looking good. We've got a potential behind the scenes little get together where all the talent and staff will come together to try and do like a practice run through things. That's at the moment in the pipeline. So that's another huge positive step. So, we've got that coming along. But yeah, we've not had the time really to do a part two. But as you approached me about today, doing something today, we thought, why don't we kind of do part two in a more relaxed, not so much like its typical format, and let's do it live and tell absolutely nobody. Fentos is under his Fentisaurus banner is watching on Twitch. Hello, Fentos. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Obviously, this was not planned as far as you guys were concerned. Feel free to ask myself, ask Alex/Dal any questions you may have. It could be anything about anything, and we will do our best to answer your questions. So, first of all, now we've got Big Fat Wrestling Quiz out of the way. How have you been? How is things going for yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. I think there's an echo. I can't work out what's me.
It could be
me.
How's that?
That's better.
Yeah, okay. That might have been me.
We're live, pal. it's the classic phrase. Yeah, no, good, thanks. I've technically I started a new job in my shoot world, which I always love that phrase, shoot job. So that's been fun. Apart from that, UKPW related shenanigans, all behind the scenes. I'd love to say more stuff. It's like fancy saying, it might be me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just really loud.
I don't know. It could be me. It probably more likely be me. It's just, I don't know. I don't know.
They get double me. Yes. How are you, sir? How's things?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I've you guys thankfully have been keeping me very busy behind the scenes, which I obviously absolutely love and really appreciate.
Totally grateful.
I really do. Obviously, there's things at which I'm not talking about, so people have to wait. There are obviously the work with the Big Fat Wrestling Quiz. I really enjoyed, doing the research, inputting the questions and the rounds together. I had so much fun, hosting that and having people get involved. Some of the banter. I've got memories that I will take away, especially Fentos's Gold Dust, which was highly requested. He kind of do his own album of Fentos's wrestling themes.
I'd sell it.
Absolutely, why not? We've got to UKPW's got to make money somehow. It's not just sales of tickets and merch, which are not on the Etsy store, guys. Yes, fantastic service. Absolutely love it. Fits like a dream. Other products also available. See, there we go. Look, let's throw a little bit of promotion out there as well. More items to come in the pipeline. I'm sure we'll figure something out. If you've got suggestions on what kind of merch we should sell, by all means, we're open to all sorts of things. Anything to make a little bit of dollar. Things have been great. Yes, you guys have been keeping me busy. I've been thoroughly enjoying it. I'm working hard on something you and I discussed last week as well. Just going with it, and just like everyone else, can't wait to get back to it. and doing what we love doing, which is embarrassing ourselves and making people happy.
That's how I describe this when people, to use the quote again, my shoot job. They go, what do you do? And they go, well, essentially, it's embarrassing myself in front of hundreds of people while wearing spandex.
Yeah.
And I think that's a solid description.
Why not? Yeah. But it makes us happy in return as well. So we're happy making other people happy by making ourselves look silly. So that's, that's great. I just want to give a shout out to Ross. Yes, obviously this is kayfabe. Ross, who he's got his other little side project coming out. I'm sure he'll mention more details about. He's got his own little one-to-one interview series that he's working on at the moment. So I wish him luck with that. Ross is still with us. He's been having some things with his health, with surgeries and everything. So obviously, as always, we wish him well. We can't wait to. I'm excited about the Ross and Cross connection. Returning to UKPW, I'm looking forward to winding him up so much, and I'm looking forward to him giving it back. I really am. I really miss that relationship that we have on our shows. So I hope Ross is doing well. But yeah, who else? Still just fantastic at the moment. Hopefully more people are joining. So let's talk a little bit more about what else has been going on behind the scenes. Of Easter was a big one. The unveiling of the UKPW Women's Championship, which is looking lovely behind you there. First and foremost, the female members of the roster, the women's division that we proudly have started, they all absolutely adore that title, which is great. It's the best feedback you can get. It's their title. It's for them, and them, all falling in love with it. It obviously gives it the best stamp of approval possible, I think.
I still stand by my comment of, it was a way to sort of say, no, we're being deadly serious. We'd like to launch this and make it quite a focal point of the promotion. And the best way to do that was, to get a belt made. Yeah, I mean, we're amongst friends, and anyone that's watching this is, I consider you a friend, obviously. But there was a bit of criticism because, of course, let's talk candidly. Obviously, the belt is essentially the IWGP Intercontinental belt, just with the UKPW stuff on it. And I get that. I'm fine with that. In a convenient way, they've retired that design. So I quite like that we've now.
The timing was good. The timing was very good on that.
Maybe I'm Dave Meltzer. Maybe I know what's going on. Definitely not. But no, so I know there's a bit of criticism with that, and I appreciate that. And I suppose I'm always the one that I have to hold my hands up to, because I really like the belt design, which you can see we literally made one. But two, selfishly, when I was getting into wrestling, I really liked ECW for obviously a long period of time. But when I first saw ECW, it was in one of the Power Slam magazines.
Yeah.
There was this two photos that have stuck in my brain, which were the Eliminators holding the ECW tag titles. When I was flicking through the magazine, I was like, that's the Intercontinental title, but with ECW written through the middle of it. And then I looked down, and it was Rob Van Dam holding the TV title, which was in fact the Winged Eagle belt. And so for me, I see it as like a tribute. You're paying homage to these things. Yeah. And I think maybe people misinterpret what I'm going with. Like, I love that belt, and why wouldn't I want to promote that on our product? Yeah. I appreciate people saying, I think it should be original, blah, blah, blah. But you're talking to a man whose favourite band legitimately is Weird Al Yankovic, who's just full of parodies.
Who doesn't love a bit of Weird Al?
Yeah, right? Sidebar, met Weird Al, one of the greatest moments of my life. Genuinely nice. And if I had time, I'd find the photo. But a mate of mine says it's the greatest picture ever, because it's me next to Weird Al. There was a competition where the most ridiculous thing. So I wore my Dow Jones money suit thing. And then behind me, for no reason, are stormtroopers. And it's a ridiculous picture. And I'm not really a Star Wars fan. And that's why my mate thinks it's one of the funniest pictures ever, going, what is going on?
That's brilliant. That is brilliant. But yeah, let's talk about the belt designs. I mean, obviously, this is not in any way disrespecting any promotions, no matter how big or small they are. But we've seen it all well on indie promotions where they've literally taken let's say, for example, a WWE Championship belt or of any kind, and they've literally just stuck their own logo on the top just to cover the WWE logo and things like that, and they've called it whatsoever. But looking at that, yes, the template, the design is the IGWP title. We see that. But when you look at it and you look at the attention to detail that's been added to create it as the Women's Championship, it's enough different to look at that to say, well, hold on a minute. Yeah, okay, it's based on that design, but look at it. It is UKPW. It's a UKPW Championship belt. There's no other way of looking at that. And I don't see any issues with paying homage to designs of what we've seen before, as long as it's not, using the entire design, modifying it enough for it to be believable to be our promotion's own championship belts. I mean, seeing how beautiful that title is, I'm excited to see what the other titles are going to be when they're altered. And I can't wait. I actually cannot wait.
I suppose if there's such a thing as a headline coming out of the session is so I've taken the feedback on. Like, there are people that are going, look, you're just copying stuff. You just try and be something unique, and I fully appreciate that. So with the women's belt, it was a quick win. It was how can I prove to people? Bear in mind that we're in the pandemic, we can't put shows on. I literally can't put my money where my mouth is now by literally booking people. So it's like, right, how can I get a quick win, get the belt done? I like this design, tweak a few things, brilliant. So, of course, now we're coming out, which is nice. Fingers crossed everything all goes to plan. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit later. So what we're doing at the moment is we have actually, not commissions, that's the wrong word, but we've got a belt designer currently designing a title belt for essentially I don't want to say the word replace, that's not quite the word. I'm going to use the word update. Update some of the belts. So I'm not going to lie, and again on this live stream we're live now, fingers crossed the design and the manufacturer and also the cost all lines up, and hopefully we'll have all new belts for when we go live. But there is a chance, I don't want to ruin it, don't want to ruin the illusion, there is a chance that we might end up doing a show and we don't have entirely new belts.
But that's essentially, if that happens, that happens. But it's it's the fact. I mean, looking at some of the comments that we've got here, John Nussel was like, "Oh, someone say belts." Stephen Lee Hansel said loves the belt. Absolutely. Craig Furman, they're saying that's one good-looking belt. John Nussel said Reggie Park's best titles around. Now, this is the thing, the feedback is still great on that Women's Championship belt. And as you said, we're taking it very, very seriously. And, and that's a fantastic statement because, and again, like I said, no disrespect to other promotions, but, when you're on a roster and you're competing for championships, it says a lot about the quality of the championship, the title belts that you are competing for, that you're going to look, you want to look as a champion, you want to look good. You want that prop to look as good as possible. And you're going to look like a legitimate champion. That is why I think one of the reasons why, WWE, for example, their titles don't look prestigious. They just look like, just a gimmick. They don't look like a legitimate titles anymore. I mean, you could argue maybe, all right, the new Intercontinental title, or maybe the new version of the United States Championship, or the NXT titles look a lot. I mean, the NXT UK Tag Team Championship belts are some of the finest belts I've seen in years. And that's the thing. I mean, it's like, I think it goes back to this Triple H versus Vince McMahon ideology of Vince makes it look very cheap and simple and blah, blah, blah. Triple H is like, no, our title belts need to look prestigious. They need to look hot. And, and that's something which I think, obviously we're taking very seriously, and I can't wait to see those new belts. We know, let's talk a little bit about, the situation of keeping the company a very safe environment for workers as well as our fans, audience that come along. For those who don't know, just cover briefly a little bit about what things UKPW are putting in place to ensure the safety of all its workers as well as the those who come to see our shows.
Yeah, so the short answer is obviously we're taking it incredibly seriously, and I must stress this right at the beginning: is that no disrespect to any other promotion that are already announcing shows and putting shows on. Well done them, and of course every company has processes and procedures. And I might speak out of line in terms of the other UKPW management. I still think we've got a few things that we need to get right before we can run a public show. Lots of things have changed. You've got the physical well-being, you've got the mental well-being, you've got the venue safety, you've got the public safety. Then you've got safeguarding as well of everyone. So if I sat here now and said I am 100% confident and qualified to talk about this, I would be lying to you. That's not the case, which is why we're not running, like we haven't announced any shows. Now we're still in the process. So to give you the sort of the full answer, lots of us are going through training, lots of us are working with external organisations. So if I sat here and said, oh, we will have a show on blah, blah, blah date, I can't tell you that. I can't do that because we want to make sure everything is, from a safety point of view, in every aspect, is spot on. We're making progress. The progress is there. And if I can speak slightly out of line, from an audience point of view, I'd be keen to see what the bigger, we're talking football, we're talking snooker, we're talking all the bigger sports. I want to know, obviously, how the safety precautions are, like what have they done, what can we do as well. We also don't know if there's going to be a spike in numbers. We don't know that yet, hopefully not. So yeah, at this stage, I'd be lying to you if I said, yeah, we've got dates that are going to go ahead. However, we are bubbling under the surface. And once all of those boxes have been ticked, as I say, safeguarding, safety of the crowds, and also on a side note as well, and I must shout out people like Knuckle Locks, Catch 22 training, because they're keeping people engaged. But of course, there's a physical side as well. So the gyms have only just opened. So again, to speak borderline offensively, let's pretend that there's a show going on like May 15th. I forget what the dates are. Let's say there's a show on in 4 weeks' time. The gyms haven't been open. So to be training in a ring and to be ready, there are some people that will be. That's of course going to be the case. But there's going to be a lot of people that won't. And then let's pretend that I asked you, are you ready to be a main event match in front of 500 people on this date? And then, are you really going to say no?
Well, you want the booking, wouldn't you, really?
Exactly.
You want the booking.
So I don't, again, and I'll have all the heat pointed at me at this one. It's sort of, I say it's my decision, it's been a team decision. I don't want anyone to feel pressured into taking a booking when they might not be ready. Now, that's, again, nothing against all the other companies. That's fantastic, and I'm sure they've got procedures. But that's what I'm trying to get at, is we want to make sure, and you alluded to it earlier, again, I'd love to be a little bit more public about it, but we've got a bit of a process. There's a date where we're having a bit of an internal gathering. That internal gathering will obviously test equipment, but also, more importantly, it might be the first time people step foot in a ring for a year. So I want to make sure that everyone is as covered and as good to go as possible. But no, thank you for the question. Brilliant question.
Yeah, that's it. Because I know you said on passing. I think you said it in part one. Gun to your head. Ideally, you would be thinking if everything goes according to plan. You was thinking about maybe around September, mid-September time for a first show if everything goes according to plan. I think we've got something like 80 odd days until the gathering, which again, people obviously, who are outside UKPW might not realise what that's going to entail. Again, it is literally setting up as though it's we were putting on a show, trying everything out, seeing what works, what doesn't work, what can be improved, etc. Guys, the talent that have not necessarily met each other before get an opportunity to meet, run the ropes if possible, get a little bit of ring rust shaken off if possible as well. Just essentially just gives us all an opportunity to, do a little bit of what our roles are, just to sort of, get ourselves a little bit prepared, just to see what really needs done. Because essentially, when it comes to crunch time and we have our first show back, we want it to be as flawless and as best as it can be for you, and that's what we do. Is we do it for you, and that's ultimately what it's all about. Obviously, we had a period of time where every week he was doing announcements where he was unveiling some of the new additions to the UKPW roster, the guys and girls that we will be seeing along the lines. Obviously, I'm not expecting you to name names, etc. But where are you at the moment with securing some more names to get them on board that want to work with UKPW?
Yeah, I mean, there are more names. There are more people. And again, I think we talked about this last time, so apologies if I'm repeating myself. But it was a bit of fun. It was a bit of fun to go, look, we've got this guy, we've got this guy, we've got this girl, we've got this lady, we've got this person. And it was, again, to try and remind people, oh, yeah, there's something to look forward to. I think we talked again in the previous one. I'm a big fan. I'm quite proud to come from Kent. I'm quite proud of that. And I love lots of things in the county, and again, maybe in the name as well, UKPW. I sort of want people to go, oh yeah, there is things to do. There are, and it's if you want to talk psychological for a second, if you know there's something to look forward to, you've got something to aim for, there's something to achieve. And okay, some people it might not work with, but with generally speaking, imagine there was no targets of no kind of any kind. What's the point? And again, we've talked again about mental health. So coming back to this, I'm not saying like, oh, we're going to cure everything. But at least if we're aiming for something, and by announcing names, it reminded people, oh yeah, I forgot about those guys. Oh yeah, that looks fun. So my favourite example is to bring up Simon Miller. Simon Miller, a wonderful chap, and again, got a big following on the internet. And if we talk business for a second, UKPW, I think, didn't. I think we're getting there now, like with things like this. But didn't really have an online following. It had its niche, but it didn't have a broader scale. So someone like Simon Miller being announced gets more eyeballs on the product, which is fantastic. But then actually, when you look at Simon Miller, I know I said this in another interview, but Simon Miller versus Roy Johnson, even with no build, I want to see that match.
Yeah.
I want to see who wins that. Charles Crowley is another good example.
Oh yeah, big fan of Charles Crowley. Love
I mean? Like, if you get these people, even with no build, just literally here's some matches. There's so many people in those names. Like, so to again going back to your point, by announcing the names, anyone that's following British wrestling could go, hang on, that looks interesting. So, like as another example, I selfishly would love to see Fentos against Roy Johnson. I think that would be a fantastic matchup. Don't know why, just in my head, I go, that would be great. Selfishly, I think a mildly comedic match between me and Simon Miller would also be quite funny.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it would be a technical clinic, but it would be funny him throwing me around. Spoilers. But yeah, sorry, so coming back, we have got more people. It's tempting to publicly say a few other names. However, again, as the criticism also said, like, they're not exclusively signed. Like, we could use anyone. And I'm going to open myself up when I say this, but I'm open to people. I mean, on a slight tangent, and this I only found out about this about half an hour ago, that another local promotion, Southeast Pro Wrestling, SEPW, have just announced that they're not continuing. So, yeah, big news to me, because I really like their product, and I think I'd alluded to it in a previous conversation about doing joint shows. In my head, I was thinking them, because they again, like, they weren't to know this is what it's done and all this kind of stuff. But I really like their production. I really like their values, that they ran slightly different areas of Kent. So they announced today that they're not running anymore. So I'm now thinking there's 20, 30 people there, trainees, people that are experienced. That might have been the only promotion they've ever done any work for. There's a lot of people there that want to continue to do their hobby, their passion, whatever word you want to use. So that's another exciting thing. That's a whole new avenue to go down. So yeah, so for anyone of SUPW that might be watching, sad news. I was a really big fan. I used to love watching all the YouTube clips.
Yeah, it's very sad. But there's so many promotions all across the UK that have unfortunately had to cease. Going on, and it's such a shame as well that it's all because it's through nobody's fault. It's through this pandemic. It is so unfortunate, but hopefully for all the talent and staff there, when one door closes, hopefully others will open, and you'll be able to carry on with your passion. One thing I was thinking of the other day, actually, I was gonna talk to you about this privately, but we're live, pal. I know we discussed about potentially. On our shows when they start up again about giving kind of like the rookies, the trainees, like a match before the actual show starts. While the audience are coming in still, or before while we're still setting up and things like that. I thought about how about if we gave we put on one, maybe two matches, and then put up a kind of like a feedback poll. Either for people to fill out on the on their seat or before they leave, or even online on the website about who they're most excited at, the rookies, who really caught their eye, and who they like to see more of, and things like that. To get more feedback and to also help hype up. That was an idea that I had about giving the fans, who were they excited about seeing again, who caught their eye at, the rookies and stuff like that. Because I think if one of the rookies looks up and sees that their name's getting chosen, they're like, oh wow, okay, this is the right lift. It gives them a little bit, more of a an incentive of, oh well, okay, I'm doing something right, or except things like that. And that was something I just had planned.
Very similar. I forget if we I don't know how much of like New Japan you follow, but their young boys process, like they go to the dojo, they train every day, they wear plain black trunks, they get, as you say, they're the dark match, they're the first match on, and then they learn how to do this stuff. And I'm a big fan of that process.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could see something like that. I mean, one thing that's kicked around, and actually, if anyone's live, I'd love to hear your comments if you think this is a good shout. I'm probably going to give the idea to another promotion now, which is why I'm talking like, maybe I shouldn't say that. But something I really wanted to do was, I can't remember if I've said this or not, maybe I haven't. But this was back in 2020 when we first took over. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we had I'm just going to use the phrase dojo wars. That was the phrase I had. That was the working title. And I like the idea of having a belt, obviously. Having a belt that the dojo won. So let's use Knuckle Locks and Catch 22 as an example. Two training schools. And every UKPW show, they face off, and a trainee represents their gym. And so if we talk behind the scenes for a second, so let's use SEPW as well as an example. You've got the guys down in Folkestone, you've got the guys in Gravesend, and then you've got the guys in London. You've got three groups of people there, different ages, different experiences. My thinking was, I remember when I was trying to get through, I was really excited, also nervous when I wrestled someone that I'd never wrestled before. So I was thinking, how can I give back to British wrestling? So the idea was, right, Dojo Wars, we have a belt that represents obviously the school, and then the school will put, in theory, they put forward their best trainee. So it could be trainee 1 from blah 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 school versus trainee 2 from blah 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 school. They have a match, trainee 2 wins, they've now won the belt for their gym. So the gym has won the title. Then at the next show, it doesn't have to be the same person that defends the belt. It could be another
team. It's the promotion. Yeah, it's the gym that owns ownership of the title during that period of time. Yeah, so pretty much kind of like, you know, under Freebird rule in a way. If you wanted to, anyone representing that faction can, you know, compete and defend and challenge for it. Yeah, no, I think that is a great idea. John Nursel said you can't beat a dark match per show. I agree. There's always room for hopefully room for a dark match. Absolutely, and I think why not then give great opportunities to other people to, you know, and it's also as well it's promotion for those gyms as well, which is also brilliant. And Craig Ferryman has said he loves interpromotional stuff. Again, you know, it's something which you know, it's something we look at potentially seriously. If others are on board, why not? You know, at the end of the day, you can always try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you've tried. You know, trial and error. That's, you know, part of the business. You know, XFL twice. You know, it didn't work the first time. Didn't work the second time. Well, then again, I think that was part of COVID, wasn't it? The second time around. So yeah, I mean. We've covered those things and that we've got there. For those who are aware, we've got a brand new ring. Talk a little bit about the type of ring, because some of the people, you know, they're familiar with what style rings there are out there. They know the technical terms, etc. What kind of ring is it? What can people expect?
Well, to be precise, it's more to do with the designing of the branding. To be more precise, how can I word it? It's things like the apron, the turnbuckled. So I'll talk about the turnbuckles because I'm not going to lie, sort of want to keep a few surprises, and so I'm just going to focus on turnbuckles rather than talk about everything else.
Yep.
So like the turnbuckles, it depends on how technical you want to get in. So I'm going to use WWE and AEW for the time. So the WWE have what I call square turnbuckles, and I like that design. It's sort of love it, perfect, it's fine. When you look at indie wrestling, if we look at AEW, they have what I call rectangular turnbuckles, and most British promotions run those rectangular buckles. So there's nothing wrong with that. You get the boxing style ones that go all the way over as well. And actually, side note, I actually quite like them. I used to love what Ring of Honor did for a little while, where two of the posts would be the long version, and then two of the other posts would be the individual American Honors version.
Yeah.
I like that. And I'm still tempted to try and implement that. But if we step back to turnbuckles, so if you think selfishly, so if you talk branding for a second, when photos or video is being filmed, turnbuckles are plain most of the time. Because, of course, the ring that's being used is usually being rented from someone else and then come down and all that kind of jazz. So I'm thinking, if I get some turnbuckle pads, and so we've had made, so some people might have seen them, we've had made what I call the WWE style, the square, very square kind of things, with the logo on it. And what I'm trying to get at is we want to make it look a bit different. It's trying to differentiate our show to someone else's, because there's some really great shows out there, and not many people know this, but I do try to attend as many of these others because I'm a fan of wrestling, and I'm not ashamed to say it. You almost get a bit of a he's a mark. Yeah, okay, that's the word you want to call for a wrestling fan. All right then, I'll own that, and so I enjoy going to other people's shows because everyone's show is good. Despite what anyone says, there's personal preference. And actually, every show I've been to, especially in the Kent area, they're good. It's some great stuff. So how can I make UKPW look and feel different? Right, let's see if we can get the turnbuckles. Is there a way I can get the logo on the apron? There's a couple of other things we've got in the pipeline. But yeah, just to be clear, we're sort of talking about, I'm going to use the words ring accessories. That's probably the better phrase.
Yeah. We've got... John Nuttall said all about giving a platform for new talent is what we strive at. Absolutely, 100%. Craig Ferryman said, I want to see a Brit WrestleMania, all UK promotions together at Wembley Arena. and promoter of the year, Tony Khan's greetings, gentlemen. If only, Alex, if only. John Mansell's replied to Craig Foreman said, check out WrestleAid 2022, something I think we should all look at. But yeah, we'll not talk any more about things to do with what kind of ring we're using or anything like that, because we want there to be some surprises for everybody. Let's look at our first show as an extensive wrestling Christmas day, is how I would put it. You never know. You know, if I can afford it, I might be able to hire Mick Foley in a Santa suit. Yeah, no promotion's ever done that before, have they? So, you know, let's see what happens there. Well, what else to go? Yeah, so obviously, as people know, throughout the pandemic, we've been very focused on social media stuff. As we know, we've been doing the Big Fat Wrestling Quiz. We've had the Insider Series, kind of what we're doing at the moment, as well as uploading former shows that we've had over the years, clips, highlights, runs, everything you can always think of. We're getting it up there, and it's great because you share with us the numbers of how many people it's reaching, how many views we're getting, how much content's being watched, and the numbers are impressive. You know, and that's something which, you know, I know people might be thinking, well, once we're up and running doing our regular shows again, are we going to be seeing all this content? Well, I would have said, well, yeah, you know, because it is a tool which we will need, you know, to reach as many people as possible, people that still aren't aware. And what better way to show what kind of promotion we are than to show what our current stuff are. But unfortunately, unless you're filming current stuff, you can't do it. So exactly. Is there anything yet that we are yet to have uploaded apart from new stuff which we haven't yet seen uploaded? Is there anything in the pipeline that you've kind of working on or thinking about getting put up?
The short answer is no. The longer answer is there's potential things that can go up. But I'd be lying if I said, oh yeah, we've got 20 hours of original content and all that kind of stuff. It's my thinking is that a lot of the UKPW archive, so we've been going through everything, and when I say everything, we've been going through everything, and with a fine-tooth comb, trying to go, right, where's some golden nuggets of like, oh, that never got really seen. Because one of the things to criticise, because no one's fault, there's, what's that phrase? No such thing as failure, only feedback. And one of UKPW's feedback points is, and okay, maybe I'm going to be a bit biased here, but UKPW did do moments. It would have moments of, you know, the classic phrase, people don't remember WrestleMania matches, they remember WrestleMania moments. And I think UKPW is similar to that, where there have been some like, wow, that was cool. So what I've been trying to do in the background is get those clips and then essentially upload them, because they haven't been seen apart from the people that were sitting there live at the time. So what's been fun with a lot of the social media is, I'll give you an example, a personal story. So I've been networking in the background with American promotions in particular, just trying to understand, okay, well, how do you do this? Is there a British way, or sorry, what's the American way of doing something? I wonder if there's a British way, or can I take them in? That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But I was telling them about one of the spots that we did, and they were like, that's unbelievable. And then I sent them the footage, and they went, how is that not more seen? So the example was the Dow Jones cutting the top rope. They're like, how is that? Like, and I took the compliment. Like, that's genius, right? And I thought that was really funny. But of course, to go on a slight tangent, the Americans don't have ropes. They tend to have the steel cable with the rubber around.
Yeah. So
they'd never be able to pull that stunt off anyway. So what was quite fun is talking to them. They're going, that promotion's got a lot of cool things going on. The cage match, another good example, the double stomp.
Yeah.
And then when you really delve in, I was looking at the moment, spoilers for any UKPW roster member reading this now or watching this now, I'm currently going through all the 2017 content. And there are some unbelievable hidden gems, because the roster was really, really varied. Because you had, and so to try and answer your question, where we're going, I think is that 2017 sweet spot, because you had the wrestlers. No offense to these people, you had me, you had Buff Broadside, you had those characters, but then you also had your Sammy Smooth, Scott Starr. There was Danny Black was on there, David Francisco, Spike Trevay. These people that have gone on to bigger things. I mean, there's loads more. I feel really bad because this morning I found a match and went, I don't think I've ever seen this before. And it was like a 6-way scramble, and it had who did it have in there? It had Ashmore in there. It had, oh God, I feel really bad. It had loads of good people in there. I was looking and going, I've not seen this before. And so, coming back to your point, I think there's going to be, especially in the short run, especially over the next sort of 2-3 months, my aim is to show lots of little clips, because, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there isn't an audience for the full matches, but let's be honest, if you have a WWE network or you have a 15-minute UKPW match, okay, the UKPW match is free, but how many of those hours are you realistically going to watch? So if I take a minute or two of your time, if I get the live clip, let's have a look at this clip. That looked cool. Next time they're live, I'll check them out. That's kind of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very long-winded answer, but yeah, nothing brand new.
Just feeding them with a taster, something a little bit sweet enough to get them wanting a bit more, and that's that's fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love that.
I'll give you another example of something the Americans I was talking to about. They were like, "That's genius." So one of the things, if we talk about myself, apologies. One of the things I like, going back to that logic, people don't necessarily. I know it's controversial to say this. People don't necessarily remember the matches, they remember the moments. And if we specifically talk British wrestling, so American wrestling televised, that's up for debate. But when it comes to a live show, when a kid leaves the room and you go, what was your favourite bit? They will normally go, I like the guy in the top hat and tassels. So that's how they'll describe me necessarily. I might go, I liked it when that guy did the flip. And I really liked blah, blah, blah. They don't necessarily say, I really like match 3 because of the choreography. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what people say. They at the moment. So I had this like in my head all the time, going, right, okay, I do want good matches, but so my mission every UKPW show is going, I love everyone, and they're all going to do better matches than me. So I was thinking, well, how can I be the story in the car when they're driving home? I want people talking about me, because I won't name names, but there are loads of names of people that are really good wrestlers. And it's very, very easy. What can I do that's going to shine the spotlight on me? So what I would do is think of these moments, these ridiculous things. So that's where the cutting of the top rope came into play. I've never seen that before. What's that all about? Oh, I hate that guy. The double stomp from the cage. Oh my God, that was ridiculous. But my favourite example, I was telling these American fans, and they were like, that's ridiculous. And again, it comes back to the production value. So I feel like if the production was a little bit higher, I think the clip could have done a bit better. And I love the story of when Sid Manelli drop kicked me from the apron and I went to the table. And that's not the oh my God moment. That's a fun story in itself. But it was the build to the return match. So the return match, the revenge match, was a tables match. And I was thinking, how can Dow Jones win the tables match, but without giving the satisfaction of someone, without putting Sid through the table? So then I had this idea. So full disclosure, my wife wasn't very happy about this when she discovered what the plan was. So we had this table idea, went through the table, kaboom. And then what I did is I took the table home. I don't know if many people know this, but the table broke. And I was like, them legs are good. We could use those table legs again. Attach the legs to another bit of wood. That was my thing.
Yeah.
But then, when it was in my garage for so long, it was in my garage for months, I remember thinking, the referee calls the decision. So the finish of the match, if you remember, was referee's distracted. Great. So Pentos came out, did some stuff, ref's distracted. I then pull the broken bits of the table into the ring, shove Manelli into the broken bits of the table, Referee turns around, looks like Sid McNally's gone through the table, and then therefore Dow Jones wins. And I was telling these Americans that, and they were going, that is unbelievable. They were like, that's a genius idea. And of course, they run indie shows themselves in like Philadelphia and all these kind of places. And they're like, no, we just do match, finish, promo, finish. I was like, but don't you create moments? They're like, maybe a hurricane runner off the top rope. It's like, that's still very good, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But is it talk in the car on the way home good?
Mm.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying my finish was, but they were like, that's genius.
No,
So
but you are going to go away talking about that moment. You know, you think about like the young kids that are sitting in the audience. They'll go back to school on Monday and they'll be like, oh, you know, mum and dad or whatever took me to wrestling at the weekend. I saw these great wrestling matches. Oh, this guy, there was a table match, but the guy cheated because they had a broken table already and he put the guy in his opponent there, and the referee, he cheated and won. They're going to remember those moments. That's the thing. The kids are going to remember that. I mean, I'm a mark to when I see these. I mean, that when you go back to the Rampage match where he was cutting the top rope, I mean, the amount of time I have lost count the amount of times I've watched that match because I like to go back and I like to refresh my memory. And there are moments that I like to rewatch, even if it's critiquing my own commentary with Ross and stuff like that. And literally, it's like 90% of Dow Jones's Rampage match was.
yeah.
And there was one moment I remember when Lee Rogers, for those who remember Big Bad Rogers, he actually comes up to me after the event finished and he said, "Did you not hear me?" And I went, "Hear you?" He went, "Yeah, I was in a submission move in the ring and I was shouting out, Stafford! I went, no, I was too busy watching, laughing at I was shouting your name, and that because I think I think what the idea was I would hear him, and then I would like react to him and say, I'd be like, "Oh, that's my friend! Hey, get off my friend!" You know, react to that. But I was so mesmerised with you just going,
yeah,
like that.
Just call me, criticise me, and I know many people do, but I like the pantomime because it's, don't get me wrong, I love a fantastically technical match, but it's that phrase, like it's that classic line that everyone overuses because of that DVD, what Paul Heyman says, accentuate the positive and hype the negative. There are much better wrestlers than me, they are so tough. What can I do? Right, actually I'm quite a silly soft. I like to do silly. I enjoy comedy. I mean, I'd love to talk about that a bit later if we have time. So how can I get that in there? I love all the right. I'm going to do the most despicable but hilarious thing possible. Think about it logically. Winning a Royal Rumble style match, I cut the top rope off. I think that's hilarious. Yeah. And actually, to praise you as well. And this again, what I was saying to these Americans was that it's why I believe commentary is so important. It's why I believe the presentation of everything else is really important. Because if you weren't selling it, especially in that review program afterwards, because I mean, my favourite moment, and I'll say this while we're on camera so you can see me say it too. Like, I love it when like Ross is like sort of there going, and then you're like, "You gonna let me do it? Oh, genius!" And it's just the way you just go, "Oh, genius!" And then you get into it, but it's your sell that then makes you go, "This is quite a big deal." And so if we didn't do the review program and we didn't have the commentary, it's just a guy cutting the top rope, which is fine, still works visually. People haven't necessarily seen that. But you screaming, going, "He's got a sword! This is genius!" It just adds so much drama to it. So
yeah,
thank you very much.
I love doing that. I mean, again, I still remember after your title victory against Alexander Roth. That match, again, one I've watched over and over again. It was just literally, I wanted to sell the story, you know, on my commentary as much as possible, but I literally got so into it that at the end of the show, I was absolutely knackered. Because I remember there's a few camera shots. I'm actually towards the end of the match. I'm actually standing, like as if there was no commentary table there at all. I'm literally standing, and I'm selling it. And at times I can feel myself getting out of breath because I'm like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then the bit where Martin has to do the count, at the end, and it was just like, oh, this is just literally the worst case scenario for Martin Raymondson's character to have to, crown you the new UK champion, and literally all of his involvement, which I was again, selling that he's got no business doing it. Why is he out here? Why can't he just leave Dow Jones alone and all this sort of stuff? And it was just it failed. The whole thing with Kieran Corrupt, everything that it failed, and then obviously Corrupt's turn as well, which I didn't see coming, and I'm glad I didn't know about that because I know sometimes before shows you like to give me a run through. You'd be like, this is what the idea is. This is what I'm planning on doing. I'm telling you because I think you need to know because I want this kind of, you to try and do this, which is fine. But sometimes I like to go into it as a fan and not know anything and call it as I see it. So my reactions are genuine, and I love that, And it was like that with the cage match with Ashmore. I did the build up to the crowd before the match. And I know you said there was kind of something at the ending that I'm going to do. It's a bit dangerous. Ashmore's a little bit concerned, but can you just try? And I was like, yeah, okay. And I didn't really know what it was. You was like, you will see it. It'll be like the grand finale. And then that double stomp and that, I was like, geez. Because I remember seeing your head, like like that at the end. But yeah, I sent you over that little footage because I remember you previously. I think it might have been. I don't know if it was on the Podwagon. You was talking about how you didn't get the ending after that match that you wanted because you wanted everyone to sort of go and leave you in the middle of the ring unconscious, and that, but people just wouldn't leave. And I remember sending you recently the footage that I recorded of you trying to go, can you let me out, please? The kids are giving you absolute, hell, and Martin's there saying, will you apologise to me for cutting my bit? Will you? I'm sorry, can't hear you. And it was just still a fantastic moment. But these are the things I absolutely love. I mean, you talk about moments. Well, Buff Broadside retires, knee injury, comes back, and then he's suicide diving over the top through the ropes and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow.
On that note as well, actually, and I've been told off. I won't say by who, but I've been told off by some of the UKPW management because apparently I have a skill in convincing people to do things. And I'm sure Buff won't mind me telling the story. Okay. I have a thing about dives. I have this thing where I'm like, so speaking selfishly, it's a cool clip to look at. So it's a good video clip. This is just dives in general. Big dive, whatever. From a live audience point of view, I always remember, again, apologies to sort of do the name dropping. Scott Hall used to always talk about the reason why his moveset was the way it was. He's a 6'7" guy. If he picks someone up above that top rope, everything looks more impressive. So with that in mind, that's why I like all the dives, because to criticise a lot of British wrestling, a lot of people aren't big. They're athletic. They are definitely gymnasts in their own way. But when it comes to, like, wow, someone doing a big dive in front of you, that's always going to kind of cheese. So coming back to this, with Buff, I remember saying to him, he might have a different account of this story. And it's the same with a couple of others. They've named other people in their stories. It was me. Because the dive is such a good point so if we talk promotion for a second, the dive is a really good end to a sequence. And it's a good clip to end on, and then have the card come up going, watch more on YouTube or whatever. It's just like, oh my God, they did what happened next? And so I'm a big fan of the dive. You watch it on television. It's the classic WWE thing. Rollins does a dive to the outside. This match continues after the break. It's the classic thing. Anyway, so I think we're conditioned like Pavlovian dog. Like, big dive, have a bit of a break, we're coming to the next part of the match. Yeah. So talking to Buff, in this particular match, I think it was an 8-man, wild card, whatever. And I said, Buff, wouldn't it be great? No one would see it coming. You don't, all of us on the outside. And so my logic, and I did this with someone else as well, so I would walk them through and go, you stand on the top row, there's going to be 5 of us on the outside. And I know you're worried that you might overshoot or you might undershoot or someone won't catch you. If there's 5 of us, one of us is going to get more than likely all of us, but if four of us miss, one of us are going to get it. So that's the process. So with Buff, I was going, look, all of us are outside. None of us are going to miss you. It's not going to happen, but if it does, so anyway, there was this 8 minute, and I love it. Maybe what I'll do is I'm going to click this and find the clip and overdub it. Because what I love about this clip is that Buff, so it took a bit of talking, like, I promise you that, Buff, I will be front and centre if I need to be to catch it. And actually, to be fair, Fentos was basically front and centre. But what happened, there was all of us there. And then, side note, and I don't mean to dig him out, but it was quite funny. So Buff's doing all the G'ing up, and everyone's like, is he going to do it? And you were selling it like, no, he's not going to, surely not. He does the ropes, he does the dive, and then we all catch him and we all fall down. But the person that doesn't and basically goes, nah, I'm not doing this, was Gabe. Gabe was right at the back. He was like, yeah. It just really amuses me that he weren't there. But anyway, sorry, coming back to the point though, you do that, and it was a good spot, a good moment, no one got hurt. Well, now I don't want to say you've practiced it, you've done it in the real world now. So I remember then watching Buff do another match, I think 2-3 months later, and he did a dive to one person, I think it was, maybe two. And I remember going, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. And then, of course, now it's a spot that can be constantly replayed. And as I say,
I know he can put it off, and and rightly so, because he did it in the last show we did in the scramble match. He did it in that as well.
Yeah, and so I've been told off by the management team, going, Alex, you've got to stop convincing people to do dangerous things, because one day it will go wrong. Okay, cool. I won't convince people to do a triple moonsault from the top of the building. Fine.
And then your kind of management and what you say goes. so technically, Dow Jones wins again because Dow Jones still gets what he wants. If Dow Jones says, you can do this, Dow Jones means you can do this. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. See, he's talking about these things that really make me miss it so much more. It really does.
I mean, to jump in, sorry to jump in there, but like as you say, people miss it. And so if we talk a little bit more about this, I'm going to use the phrase private gathering. So firstly, we've got to follow by all the rules. That's the first thing. The motivation of this gathering is exactly that. Is that, no offence to any audience member that's watching this, but you add an element of pressure because you're a paying customer. You are paying £8, £10, £12, whatever the ticket price is. The person in the ring has got to deliver. There's an element of pressure, there's an element, but it's not necessarily directly from the audience, but because the audience is there, pressure is now on, which is why I want to remove that entirely and then have, as I say, a private gathering. So we're going to have as many people as possible. And then that way, it's as you say, hi, how are you? I haven't seen you in 15 minutes. How the hell are you? That's really the purpose. And I sort of I'm going to mention it and then skim over it. But like this gathering, we're going to have to transport a ring. We're going to have to transport all of the gear. People are going to be turning up. There will be some photographs being taken. This all costs money. And so we're doing a thing that isn't bringing anything in. And I can't stress that enough. And that's probably the reason why I sort of want to say it now, because I don't think I'll get another chance to say it, is that's how serious we're taking this. That's an investment. It's an investment to go, right, so speaking very, very honestly, very, very seriously. I'm not going to name names because it implies that I think of certain people, but if you're ex-wrestler, you are wrestler A, and you turn up, and I go, oh yeah, you're wrestling this guy today, and we've got a live audience. And deep down, you are not ready. You're going to do the show. You're still going to do it. It could go wrong. It's been 15 months.
It's always in the back of your mind. You're going to be apprehensive about certain things, certain spots and stuff. So
my logic is remove the audience, and then as mean as this might sound, and I appreciate that I'll get heat from certain people, I need to see someone in the ring. I need to look at them and go, yeah, no, you are okay. You are definitely okay to be in the ring. Because there might be other people that's the first time they get in the ring, and footing slightly wrong. When they take a bump, it actually, you can see it actually really hurts them. You go, you're not in the condition. And I don't want to. So I don't want to be responsible for someone being seriously injured.
Absolutely.
And really shouldn't have done the show.
I mean, because essentially for a lot of people, it's almost going to be like their very first training session that they ever had again. It's going to be like, oh, yeah, I forgot how much that hurts. I'm going to feel this tomorrow morning. When their bodies were so used to it that it's second nature. But it's going to be like having that all over again, which is, the safety needs to come first. Absolutely, 100%.
I appreciate that people are, let's use that classic American line, independent contractors. Like if they're freelance, let's use the English word. If they're a freelance person, it's their responsibility to, in theory, be up to speed. That's how that works. If you hire an electrician, they need to have the right qualifications and the right whatever. But the thing with an electrician is that when the rules update, they get a qualification that tells you they are up to date. The problem with pro wrestling is that there isn't one of those. And so I don't actually know how up to date someone is. When I say up to date, of course you can go to the gym. Of course you can, but they've been shut for 9 months. Okay, you can work out from home. You can do that's great, but you haven't actually done 10 to 15 minutes in the ring. So that's the secret reason for the.
You could have your own home gym set up in your garage and work out every day of the pandemic. If you've not been in the ring, you're still going to get rusty. It's inevitable. Just before we go back, because I don't want to be ignoring the people that are tuning in with the comments, go back a little bit. Fentos is showing his love for TNA again. Give the people what they want: 6-sided rings. John Nursel, we at PWA are not rushing back. Needs to come back right and when ready. Absolutely. He's obviously, I think, left because he's just keep it real and keep it safe. Get in touch and talk soon, guys. Absolutely. Jack Mahoney's had good day, sirs. Hello, Jack. Fedsaurus going back to the buff spot, saying Gabe had the right idea. Essentially, I guess so. One of the things that I know I keep throwing these at you and everything. Another thing I always envisioned, because I do this thing. I remember when Triple H says about, I remember him doing an interview. I think it was on to do with the Mick Foley. I think it was the Hard Knocks Cheap Pops DVD, a documentary. And he said, he's talking about how he's always obsessing over the business. He's always thinking about business from morning to night and all this sort of stuff. And this is something what I do. Myself, I can't shake it. But I also had this thing. Remember when Ted DiBiase did that thing with that kid where he offered to pay him money if he could dribble the basketball? Well, then Cameron Grimes went and did it on NXT a few weeks back. And he was doing all these other things, which is because Ted DiBiase essentially took to Twitter to say, I'm going to be doing something with Cameron Grimes on NXT, which has got me thinking, yes, Ted DiBiase is going to be back on TV, because every time it goes wrong, Cameron Grimes is like, God damn that Ted DiBiase, I hate him. It's genius, brilliant. But I always had this idea of, maybe UKPW, we talk about fan interaction, about getting, a kid or something from the crowd at random or whatever to take up like a little challenge where they could win either a T-shirt or free tickets to the next show or something like that. If they could do a challenge, but it could be like the Dow Jones challenge where it's basically they're not going to get it, but in the end we're going to have the saving grace where they do win the prize, but it's it's playing along with the Dow Jones being cruel. And I don't need to give you these ideas on how to make Dow Jones even more loathable, but I just had these things about different tasks. Like for example, can you kick this ball into that bucket like that? Dow Jones does it, yes. Can you do it as they go to step up to run it? Dow Jones just kicks it to the side so before they can hit it, and you're like like that. You'll get heat. But ultimately, they still get the prize because someone will come out, have a go at Dow Jones, they'll give the prize to the child or whoever. I just think it's, fan interaction, more heat for heels, and just it's entertainment and it's giving a little something back as well. So I have crazy ideas that run through my head. I know what people sort of think about those sort of things, but that's the same. I sort of just throw it at you. I just love just the idea of just Dow Jones just doing something like that to, a young fan.
Well, one of the dilemmas I've got is, I'm sure we'll have to wrap up quite soon, but one of the dilemmas I've got is how to transition out of the Dow Jones character. We're doing these live streams, so people get to meet the real me. But I've often thought, I think I might have said this again before. Apologies for repeating myself. I had this, if UK wrestling was on TV, do proper production, the Dow Jones story arc would have been hilarious because it would have been like banker gets really rich, becomes really arrogant with all the money, blah blah blah, bye, whatever, and then like eventually loses the belt, whatever. And the ending of the Dow Jones story arc, I love the idea of doing a vignette where like he's at home, giant mansion, whatever, and then someone knocks on the door. Hi, sorry, Mr. Jones, we've been trying to contact you for a little while. You appear to have missed all of your payments. What? Sorry? What? Oh yeah, no, you've missed all of your payments. So we're just asking now. Could you make a deposit just so we can keep your nice things? Sorry, so what's the deposit? And then as the vignette continues, it turns out that Dow Jones has bought everything on credit without understanding how credit works, and now and then essentially becomes like Repo Man, takes everything away. And then Dow Jones is now Mr. Paul, and he's just a guy that doesn't understand money. And
then are you going to turn up on shows wrestling like a homeless man?
Yeah, exactly that.
You can have like your top hat and everything like that, but with holes in, and just be absolutely brilliant.
I thought that would be the greatest story arc ever, and then maybe that could be the face turn. It's like he learns what hard work is, does the hard work.
That would be really, really good. I really love that. It would be coming full circle because you have achieved everything in UKPW. You've just not been able to defend the championship for obvious reasons, but you have done everything. You're Grand Slam champion. You've done everything there is to do. Why not? If you wanted to, do something a little bit different, why not see that? Come out. Craig Ferryman says Simon Miller going to play the Repo Man. I bet he absolutely love that, wouldn't he? I think he would absolutely love that. That would be that would be fantastic. But yeah, go back to what you're saying about doing this whole thing with audience participation. I could just imagine different show. It's a different hill. Like you've got a challenge like this. Have Ventos come out and do like a maths test thing with a child and everything like that, and have him give the child something very, very complicated that it just wouldn't get. And then we go, tough like you've lost and all like this, and still
maths
win. But
maths challenge with Fentos. Okay, Fentos, your question. 2 + 2, 4. Okay, Fentos, your second question. 4 + 4, 8. Okay, kids, your question. Square root of 12. What?
Could you imagine if some little brainiac kid actually did get it? that would be absolutely amazing.
Quick story for you. I love this. And I don't know how true this story is. I only saw what I saw. So doing a show with Buff and James Earls, it was the British Heritage Wrestling Company. They were doing a show called WhatCon, and kindly I was invited along. Me and Fentos were there. Great, and good day. There was this moment, and I was filming a lot, and so I got to see the whole show. So one of the different things about UKPW is that usually I'm not seeing the whole show because I'm doing something else. But at this show, I was just filming stuff. And this moment really killed me, where Fentos is in the ring, wrestle, and there's clearly like a university student in the audience. And he's like, you're not a real maths guy. And then basically these two, so Fentos and this random guy, have a bit of a trade-off about maths. And of course, no one knows what anyone's talking about. Fine. And Fentos gets the win. He sort of shut him up. But obviously this guy was a bit annoyed by Fentos. So Fentos continues wrestling. And then the guy shouts out, "Hey, wrestling dude, the equation on your tights are wrong." And then Fentos is like, "No." And then that became the banter. And then Fentos loses. Fine. Yeah. And I spoke to Fentos afterwards, and I was like, was that guy just an idiot? He's like, no, you're right. When I got my gear designed, I sent all the right stuff. When they made the gear, they put the wrong equation on. So yes, he is right. Some of the maths on his shorts is wrong, and it really annoys him. I love it.
Oh no!
That's intelligent heckling.
That's brilliant. That is just brilliant.
Well, I don't know why I just really love that story.
Oh, that is it. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. But yeah, I mean, I love the fact. I mean, we'll go back. We got this together and get together in about 80 odd days, and then essentially, if everything still goes according to plan, if September turns out to be the rough sort of date, it gives everyone a couple of months to, get themselves back into shape. Places will be open. They'll be able to run practice in the ring, train properly.
Bingo. That's the key.
Yeah, which is good. Which is another reason why it's not important. It's so important just to give a little bit extra time, even though restrictions are lifted. Gives that little bit of extra time that everyone needs to just get into place and get that running. But yeah, that's brilliant. But I don't know if you want to wrap it up there. We can do that. Just let everyone know we've got hopefully coming this week. We've got a special episode of Insider where I will be sitting down to former UKPW owner and one half of the tag team champions of the business, Mr. Clean Anton Green. Hopefully that will be happening this week. Also coming along the other half of the business, Gabe Myers. That one's also come up, and I do believe you and I will be sitting down where I will be the interviewed.
I think so.
As well, which I'm looking forward to as well. Everyone, thank you again for your continued support. Staying safe, which is key, because we don't want obviously anything getting in the way of us returning. So we hope you're all staying safe, and that good luck to everybody who does have shows booked before UKPW restarts. We wish you well with those. We hope they all go perfectly well for you and your promotions that you're working for. Alex, it's been a pleasure as always. Again, thank you for entrusting me with so many different jobs. I absolutely love it. I thrive on it. I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. So, from the Mouthpiece and Alex Gilbert / Dale Jones, the UKPW champion.
Correct.
Thank you and goodbye.